This week's broker update. You've got Tina and Amir here today. Your broker, Mike Webb, is in Orlando at a convention.
Realtor convention.
Realtor convention, learning all the things we're gonna pass on to you guys. So Amir, what do we got this week? Oh, I think we're gonna have a guest today too, right?
We have Kira from Skyslope here with us today. So I'm going to go over a few updates that's going on in the industry, and then I'm actually going to turn it over to Kira. And like I said, she's with Skyslope, and she's going to give you more or less an in-depth overview of Skyslope and the benefits of it, what it's capable of, and what it's doing for us.
Great. And we've heard Amir mention Skyslope multiple times here over the last month or so, as we've been going through all these new documents, and they make it a lot easier.
They do. They have a very streamlined process. I mean, they cater to some of the biggest names in real estate nationwide. So when I was with one of my previous brokerages for 10 years, we used their platform, and that was, probably 10, 15 years ago. So it was a great platform then. It's something that they've continued to update over the years, and it's just become a powerhouse in the transaction management software industry. So looking forward to hearing what Kira's got to say later. But for us starting out today, I know we still have some people getting into their Zoom. For whatever reason, we did send out the Zoom link, but some things didn't go through, I guess, so we still have some people coming in. First and foremost, I think August 17th has come, and
we're still all okay.
Yeah, everybody's okay.
Nothing crazy happened.
Nothing happened.
Nothing exploded.
I was expecting my the broker phone, because obviously the 17th was Saturday, to just blow up with calls and questions and all sorts of things. Didn't happen.
Sounds to me like we're getting these guys on the right track and giving them lots of information as they need it.
Definitely. Kudos to everybody who's out there, pounding the pavement. I think you guys have got the message, and you're comfortable with the changes, and we're moving forward. So I think it's great.
Yeah. Way to go, everybody.
Yes, definitely. Good job. So yesterday, late on Monday, we ended up getting a new contract that was put into Form Simplicity, Transaction Desk. I believe Skyslope probably has it in there too. We'll have it on Rutenberg Files later today. So it's all the contracts from the 2 FAR bars, as is and regular, the vacant land, commercial, they all were updated. They didn't put out essentially a new version. It is a new version. It's called as is 6XX. So the previous version was just 6X. This is 6XX.
Double X.
Yeah, 2 little X's. So
yeah.
I have Byron. He's going to put up the red line version so everybody can see it. But obviously, you can pull it up in any of the platforms that you use. The only thing that changed is they took out 2 words on the very last sentence of the very last page. What's that? Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
So it's the contract that we all know. Nothing in there has changed. I was expecting to see some concession fields or commission fields or things along those lines, and that wasn't the case. Florida Realtors decided not to go that route. So they just changed the versions on the bottom of the pages. And then, of course, they took out MLS on page 13 of the last page, last sentence in the last page. So the only thing that was removed was MLS or other. So it reads, this contract shall not modify any offer of compensation made by seller or listing broker to cooperating brokers. And, we'll talk more about that at another time, because that paragraph there has been in the contract since the last revision, if not the revision before that.
Yeah. I would assume, correct me if I'm wrong, that our next pro class in September 10th we'll probably talk a little more about the contract at that
Definitely,
point.
yeah, we'll do a deep dive into the contract and, you know, how things should be moving forward. You know, having that taken out, just that simple verbiage MLS, obviously that referred to compensation that was offered in the MLS, and as we all know, that has gone away. So, you know, feel free, take a look at the contract. Like I said, there's nothing really new there. But moving on, you know, buyer brokerage agreements. I've worked with Skyslope to get a very streamlined system to go, to be able to put together so we can just go in, get the buyer brokerage agreement done. It goes into a holding tank. If you wanted to use Skyslope further than that, I think it's a phenomenal idea because their DigiSign platform is great. They've already pre-populated all your signature and initial fields. So it's really a streamlined system. But you know, when talking about the buyer brokerage agreements, I know that there are some agents out there who really don't like change. And
Not many of us
you know,
do, I would say.
they want to stick with whatever they're using, whether that's Form Simplicity or Transaction Desk. And so it's fine to do that. However, when it comes to the buyer brokerage agreement or any agreement, that agreement is between the brokerage and the buyer. Yes, you are their agent, but it's with the brokerage. So if it's an executed document, we need to have a copy here in the office. And so where do you put that? You know, our system with Rutenberg Files isn't set up to just house buyer brokerage agreements, and you don't want to go and create a bogus file just to put it in there. So this is where Skyslope has become that one-stop shop for everybody. It can house the buyer brokerage agreement. It's easy to fill out, which is great. And then on top of that, for those agents who don't want to learn a new system, which, you know, the system is super intuitive, you'd really enjoy it if you gave it a chance. You can go ahead and create a file in Skyslope, and then take those buyer brokerage agreements that you created in Form Simplicity and then upload them. So that way we at the brokerage can get access to them, you can get access to them, and you know, we'll all be in compliance. To me, if you're going to go that route anyways, you might as well just use Skyslope because it takes that whole other system out of your cadence. So with that being said, I think I'm just going to hand it over to Kira if she's ready to go. And
I love that segue.
Good stuff. So everybody, this is Kira, and she's going to take it from here.
Hey, everyone. Well, thank you so much for having me. No, I'm actually going to follow right along that same train of thought, really talking about how Skyslope Forms does solve a great pain point here with this change. We give you a few of these nice shortcuts. And additionally, of course, if you are already moving through Skyslope and you're turning in these documents to review through these property files, rest assured a lot of that work is going to be done for you. So that's what we're going to dive into here today. I'm actually going to start within my demo account. So you'll notice it just happens to have the Skyslope logo, the Skyslope branding. I'm just simply going to use that as my demo account here today. So when you jump into your own Skyslope account, you can get started with files of your own, start fresh. Now, when I log into Skyslope, I have access directly through eXp World. So you can jump in if you're accessing that site if you would like to dive in that way. You also have, of course, skyslope.com or forms.skyslope.com. So you have a few different routes that will have you sent on over to a login screen. So here I am on my Skyslope dashboard, and I'm first going to access Skyslope Forms using my apps menu. Now, there we go. So best practice here, you will always want to start Skyslope property files within Skyslope Forms because it will pull all of that data for you. So you're eliminating a lot of that double data entry when you start off by working within Skyslope Forms. Now, specifically with the buyer agreement, since it is a hot topic, we've added our quick action menu. On the left-hand side, this is directly connected to your Skyslope Forms tool. So if you would like to jump in and start a buyer agreement within a few clicks, you can do so with very minimal navigation.
Hey, Kira.
Same, yeah.
Hey, your screen looks completely different from the way we see Skyslope, because our agents would log in through Stellar MLS, and then they don't have that quick actions thing.
Now you might have an admin account. This is our new Skyslope dashboard. It's
Okay.
as of like probably I would say 3 weeks ago. So agents will now see this new. It honestly, it's the exact same functionality as the old one. It's just pretty.
Okay.
It's just
Oh,
very
I like pretty.
streamlined. I don't know how else to explain it. All of your functionality is still here. You
Okay.
have all of your view transactions, view listings, create new. We just essentially took our folders and turned them inside out so that you can click right into what you need instead of needing to click into a home screen icon first. But we can definitely do some navigation around here. If your agents have just had a chance to kind of explore this new dashboard, we can absolutely, we'll wrap up our session. We'll do a little navigation on this page.
Okay.
Admin, however, you will still have the legacy version of Skyslope, not only in DTM, but in Forms as well, just because we're adding all of those features onto the back end before we give it the new skin.
Got it.
Yeah. So I apologize. I should have started with that here. Yes, this is the new Skyslope dashboard. All agents should have visibility, and this is what they should have as of right now. Admin coming very soon. So this guy here just gives you an open view of that Skyslope dashboard.
Okay.
Yeah, so then you'll have your quick action menu, same thing. You can quickly get started by jumping right in, or if you're accessing, same thing as you mentioned through Stellar, it will lead you right into Skyslope Forms rather than the transaction management dashboard. So those that are accessing through the Stellar MLS, this is what will greet you here. I'll even filter this out a bit nicer. So it'll lead you right into your Skyslope Forms dashboard.
That's how we typically see it right there.
Perfect. Yeah. So lots of different starting points, just really depending on how agents are moving through the system. But yeah, so we always want you to start here. So that's perfect. Jump right into Skyslope Forms. This is where your workflow will really begin. Now, right away, I have my Start Buyer Agreement button on my home screen. This is also a new addition as of about a month ago. Our response, of course, to the settlement here, giving you the ability to send out these buyer agreements within a few clicks. So typically, when we would jump into Skyslope Forms, if I hit Create, it will give me this cover sheet where I'm filling out information relevant to this property or to this client. As we know, we don't have a lot of this information as we're just getting started with those buyer agreements. So instead of creating new, you'll notice when I click Start Buyer Agreement, this filter will naturally apply. Now, I myself, I'm a multi-state agent in this demo account, so I'm going to further filter out the different libraries that I have access to. Today, we'll use FAR, my Florida real estate. And I can see that that application here of those two filters will give me the documents that I need. Now, as mentioned, I know you guys have done a lot of customization here within Skyslope Forms as well. So if you have any brokerage specific forms, they will also appear underneath this filter. I just don't have access to the Charles library in this account here, but you will see those forms also presented. So you can use your add button, add what you need. We'll go ahead and add, which is the first one there. It'll add it to my list. And when I click next, you'll notice right away, I was never asked any additional information. I'm just brought right into this fillable form. So I can provide what I have and send this right on off for a signature. So I'm going to go ahead and fill out some of these blue fields. This is for my buyer. I've got my client, Michael, here. We work together pretty frequently, so you'll see all his information populates. I'm going to add in my email so we can sign that. But here I'm filling out just the buyer's information, so I can send this right on off for signature. Filling out this little profile section here, when I click save, all of those matching blue fields are going to populate. So depending on how many forms I have in this grouping, I might have 3, 4, 5 different forms that I want to send out. I can do so. All of these blue fields matching will complete across all of those forms in the grouping. we'll indicate we're starting this guy right on off today, and we'll push this on out through the end of the year. So I'm filling out a lot of this information, and this process is still new. So if you would like to send this on over to maybe a team lead or someone that you look at as an advisor, you do have the ability to share an editable PDF. So I always like to do a call out to this workflow. Specifically with these brokerage agreements, we know that this is a big change. So if you do want to send this editable PDF on over to have somebody review or assist you in completing out these documents, this is a great tool to do so. I, of course, standard forms, have markup tools available, the ability to print and the ability to download. So those agents, if you happen to love DocuSign as opposed to DigiSign, or you have an outside e-signature tool that you would like to use, keep in mind you can still use Skyslope forms. You can choose to download this document after filling. If you would like to take it, send it through any other signature tool, whatever that process looks like for you. So all of the same standard information that you've been seeing here over the last few months with these changes, you'll complete out those terms as needed before we come right on down to the bottom and we click prepare for signature. Now I just want to take a quick pause here, see if we have any questions we should address before moving forward.
Don't see any
Awesome.
in the chat box, so should be good.
Looking good. Yeah, pretty smooth here so far. Again, we're just eliminating a lot of clicks by making this process that much faster. Now, here is an important piece. Because we did move quickly, definitely recommend best practice. Rename your file since it will give you just that standard naming. We'll go ahead and say, there we go. We'll just go ahead, rename our files. It makes it way easier to find later as a trainer. That default naming is great, but sometimes you're unsure which envelope you sent out first that day. So definitely rename. And I have my 2 contacts that are going to be included. I can decide what action is required for them. So I'm actually going to update this right here. Mr. Scott, we're going to say he needs to sign. I myself set up as no action required, so we'll click next, which will lead us into DigiSign, that integrated e-signature tool that comes along with Skyslope forms. Now, the beauty of using DigiSign, of course, if I scroll on down, my signature is already going to be in place. My initial blocks, text fields, anything of the sort, anything that comes directly from your associations or your libraries will come pre-mapped. So one less thing that you need to do as an agent, you can of course always edit if you would like to click on a pre-placed block. It'll be assigned by the client's name here. I'll see their name appear up above. So if I need to change who this belongs to, I can do so quickly. The initials will bounce and that color coding will become a trend. So if you have clients that like to share the same email address, you can go ahead, enter that email address in twice. That color coding system will apply to assign out those roles, and they'll receive 2 separate envelopes to identify those contacts. All right, so we're looking good. I have all of the signatures that I need in place. If I had multiple parties, it would accommodate those multiple contacts as well. I can place any of these manual fields up at the top, or maybe I chose to upload a document. If I have a document sitting on my computer that I choose to upload, I can use all of the bells and whistles to add those fields before sending for signature. Now, before I do, I might also want to confirm my recipient order. If you have multiple parties involved, you can edit those contacts, have them readily available here, set that signing order. Today, I just have Michael. I'm happy with the only signer here. So we'll keep our settings as is. And when I click send, it'll give me the option to draft up a quick email before sending that right on off and receiving confirmation. Now, I opted not to sign this document at this time simply because I'm going to sign it from the client perspective today. But as an agent, I would not need to leave the platform. I could simply click sign now, complete out my portion, and have that status inch its way right on forward. Now, thankfully, I entered in my own email address intentionally so that we can pop on over to my inbox here. I can access the email. This is from that client perspective. So agents, you'll see exactly what your client is receiving. When I move into DigiSign, I'll agree that this is legally binding, and I'll get started by choosing my first signature block. Picking a signature style here, and I also have the option to draw. So today we're just going to not embarrass myself because I cannot draw. So we're going to select this one here and move forward. And I'll go ahead and click right on through. Also, they will need to create a signature and an initial, so they'll complete both of those boxes, and then it will allow them to save that. I just grabbed that standard default. I have 5 out of 5 fields completed. I'll click Finish Signing. And as an agent, I will receive an email. I have the option to receive a text message, which I'll show you in just a moment. But as an agent, I've received this email. Both of these documents are attached via PDF within that email. And my client has the ability to download these documents as well. So all parties have been taken care of. And when we pop back into Skyslope forms, we'll see that status is marked complete. As I see a little activity here in the chat, I just want to go ahead and take a quick pause. Any questions we should address before we move forward?
Just the two of us.
Yeah, Byron sent you 2 questions in the chat box, Kira. If you need me to read them, I'm happy to. Otherwise, feel free.
Let's see here. From the agent online, is there a reason? So the signature seems like an extra step. I guess I could use a little background here. In the listing transaction, will Skyslope ever integrate the option to improve the import data? Oh, okay, so that's importing MLS data. Absolutely. So right now we're a little bit tied up with regional rules. So when it comes to data sharing from the MLS directly, Skyslope is still working on improving those contracts. With the ability to share contact information and a lot of those public records, we're inching our way closer and closer to be able to pull as most as available. But it is a little bit of a process here as we continue to move forward. So it depends on your area on how much information we'll pull in. If you're noticing that's a little bit bare bones, most likely just means we're still in contract conversations.
Okay.
So, and then if there's a clarification on the one above the question in regards to using another signature platform. I believe that.
I think that question got answered.
Yeah, he got it answered, but essentially he just wanted to know if somebody, why would you want to download it and use another signature platform? That just seems like an added step. And yeah, it is an extra added step. And from my perspective, you wouldn't want to use another e-signature platform. Just stick with Skyslope and DigiSign because it's a very fluid process.
Absolutely. That's heavily what we encourage, of course, but we know that some people have their preferences. And so we allow all routes through Skyslope forms. We want it to be incredibly user-friendly, even if you're choosing to use multiple tools all at once. So just highlighting that as an option if you happen to have a DocuSign account that you're very loyal to. Occasionally we see an agent that just likes to bring it on over and work through that platform. However, absolutely agree. The best experience for both agent and for clients is going to be to work through the Skyslope products, since that nice integration is going to make sure you're really eliminating a lot of data entry errors. Contact information is already available. So you're really smoothing out your workflow here. Awesome. So we'll keep on moving here. So my envelope I can see is now marked as complete. Once I have my completed envelope, I'm also going to see in my Signed Documents tab that my PDFs are here waiting. So even though I've received an email with these attached PDFs, that is really just for record keeping. Over here in Skyslope, we're going to move these documents to the locations they need to be. Again, eliminating movement of documents between different platforms can also pose as a security risk. So keeping everything all in one place, again, effortlessly compliant, and again, saves you that time. So seeing that I have my Signed Documents tab here, now this is a clear indication that it's time for me to turn this document in for brokerage review. Before I move forward, I'll also have my file details section, which will learn and grow as we move this forward. So because we're just working with that buyer agency agreement at this time, I don't have a lot of information here in file details. However, it's a great call out where if you would like your either team lead, assistant, maybe another team member of sorts, if you would like to include them in these outgoing envelopes as either receives a copy or needs to sign, add them in here as your contacts. So as you continue to work with this buyer here and we move forward to work with a property, they'll automatically appear in that drop-down menu. Again, this will differ from the normal forms workflow simply because the buyer agency is designed to be quick, very initial documents here. We're not carrying a lot of this information quite yet. So you can feel free, provide in those details as they're received, and all of this information will flow into your forms. Now, returning back to my signed documents tab here, this document right away, when it's registered as a broker agreement, your broker will actually receive a copy of this in their own Skyslope Forms tool. So kind of going back to that call out of needing to turn these documents in, this is going to actually save you 2 separate steps. We'll highlight in just a moment how we're submitting that into the brokerage property file for admin review. But additionally, your broker will have visibility to that file directly through Skyslope Forms while they're in and conducting their own business. So you kind of have yourself covered in 2 separate routes there. I'm actually going to use my apps menu to navigate right on over to Skyslope, since once again, that signed documents tab, as soon as I have some documents here, that's a clear indication for me to transfer over to the brokerage transaction management tool. Leading me back to the dashboard we started at here today. If I scroll right on down now, this dashboard here again is our new dashboard, came out roughly about a month ago, and it works exactly the same way as the dashboard that you're used to, the legacy view. However, it's been reskinned, so it looks quite a bit prettier here. And we've also taken our files and we've opened them up. Instead of clicking directly into my listings or my transactions, I now just have them visible for me on my front screen. So I can click into any of these property files here in order to be led right into my checklist. If I scroll down, I'm also going to see my recent forms files. Here's the one we've worked on together. So if I need to resume my progress within Skyslope Forms, I can quickly click over. Lastly, I'll also be able to track my DigiSign envelopes from my home screen as well. So it's just eliminating my need to click into my apps menu to navigate, and it's opening up these home screen icons so I have visibility without needing to click and search. Now, our workflow is going to look exactly the same. If we're choosing to use Skyslope Transaction Management, I'm going to drop this menu down, and I'm going to choose to create new. So this might look a little bit different for you as well. It's going to ask me to start by selecting who I'm representing. And it's now going to ask me what stage is this transaction in. So this is a key part since we're working with that buyer agreement. I'm going to say I do not have a signed offer or purchase contract yet. Simply because, again, I'm working with that buyer representation at this time. Now, the beauty of using Skyslope Forms really comes into play here. I'm going to see my recently viewed property file right up at the top, a date and time stamp to let me know that was my last modified as well. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that forms file and click continue. It's going to pull in all of this information for me. I have 2 offices that I work with, so I'll just select that. And will indicate which checklist is appropriate. So this is going to be a traditional sale. My buyer's information auto-populates. It's going to read the remainder of that document and create out my property file. So what I'm going to notice right away, up at the top, I can see my buyer's name. I can see my pre-contract label. All of my transaction details I've provided so far. I can go back and provide more. But what I'm really focused on at this point here is my checklist. So right away, I'm now going to see buyer agreement documentation up at the top. Now, this is just an example checklist here, so disregard a lot of this. This is just added at random so that we can work with those labels. But my workflow will look exactly the same. I've got my checklist assigned to me. And again, the beauty of using Skyslope forms is that nice integration. Anything that I send out for signature using Skyslope forms or DigiSign will automatically land within that Documents tab. So even though I received that email with that attached PDF, I did not need to navigate outside of Skyslope in order to be able to have these documents land in their assigned spots. I would simply finalize my process by checking on that box. I would go ahead and click Assign, and I would apply this right on over. I'm just going to add that as an example. Go ahead, add that right on over. That paper clip under the assigned column will indicate it's been added to my checklist. And I can reference that as well over here on my checklist with that nice orange in review stamp. So those of you who are choosing to use outside forms products, this is for my Dotloop transaction desk users, or if you're choosing to use any outside forms tool. This process would look very similar to you. You would complete out the forms portion in whatever third party you choose. And then, of course, we would just simply have you upload those documents to the checklist to the spot that needs to be assigned. Now, you can do that, of course, using Attach. This page is also interactive, so if you would like to drag and drop those agreements, you're more than welcome to do so. And once we go ahead, submit out those offers, when we have an offer accepted, we'll go ahead and indicate that by clicking Accept Contract. And it will convert this from a pre-contract stage to under contract. Now that's simply going to ask more information about the property that you're working with, and it's going to give you a new round of checklist items in order to submit, indicating we have that close of escrow assigned. All right, guys, so that's really going to be the core information, that nice workflow from start to finish, and we've actually accomplished a lot in one sitting. So
Yeah,
here in Skyslope, we went ahead, we rolled through Skyslope forms, we sent out that buyer agreement, we captured that signature using DigiSign, and in navigating back over to the brokerage's transaction management tool, all documents will effortlessly land in your Documents tab, where you can then assign them out to that checklist. So any questions really on that nice integration, that workflow, or really anything at all?
I don't see any other questions in the chat box. No, I appreciate it, Kira. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
definitely a good deep dive into it. Any questions from you?
No, I'm just
you're good?
learning. I'm good over
Yeah,
here.
you're learning.
I'm
Absorb. I know it's a ton of information.
learning. Byron, do you have a question?
Can they send the buyer's broker's agreement to us via Skyslope? Is that, do they need to add us as a person?
You as an integrity title?
Yeah, as a title person, like, would we have to be set up as an individual?
Can you email a document, Kira, right out of there to somebody? To like a title company?
Absolutely. Yeah, so if I'm going to pop on over here, that Signed Documents tab, if you check which document, you have a little action menu down below. So you can click Share by Email, enter in that recipient wherever it needs to go. And if it's in that contact section there, when you're sending out for a signature, you can always mark them as receive a copy. So you've got two routes there if you want to add them as a contact, or if you just want to go ahead and share that document.
Okay,
Great.
got it. Understood. Good stuff. All right.
Awesome, guys. Also, as a quick reminder, if you guys have any questions after the fact too, support is 24 hours, trained in real estate first, Skyslope second. So definitely take full advantage of Skyslope support. We also have full length webinars on here for forms and for DigiSign. So if I moved too quickly today and you would like to be able to pause the video and do it step by step, keep in mind these resources are here for you.
Perfect. All
What
right.
point does the process,
Oh, hold on, we have one.
that's for you really, but what point is the process the BBA shared with their broker? Is it immediate?
At what point in the process was the BBA shared with our broker? So, John Michael, that anytime a document is executed between, a client or customer, client, consumer, and the brokerage, we should have a copy of that within 48 business hours. Yeah, that's it for us. Yeah, if anybody else has any questions, feel free to pop them in the box. We'll be here for a couple of minutes. Otherwise, I really appreciate it. Kira, we'll definitely be in touch and, put something else on the calendar for, possibly a larger group. So,
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me.
yeah.
Thanks for being here.
All right. So yeah, Skyslope, like I said, is a really great tool that, it would benefit all the agents greatly to get familiar with it, because regardless if, if you don't want to use it, it's just going to add more steps to your daily tasks and filling out buyer brokerage agreements and uploading them until, we're able to do something within Rutenberg Files. I know Rutenberg Files is a great system. That's what we're used to. But this could definitely be a good segue into a more streamlined process.
I was just gonna say, sounds like it could be a little bit more streamlined for everybody.
Right. So,
Great.
but if anybody needs Skyslope, like Kira was saying, there's the support tab up there. I know some of the agents, if you do go into Skyslope from Stellar and you're not able to access it, let me know. We probably need to add you in as a new user, which just takes a few minutes. And then if you do log into Skyslope for the first time and you don't see your forms there, I did put a video on Rutenberg Files on how to access or how to add forms to your library. So that way you'll be able to do that.
Looks like Kira put a link up there, Byron, yes?
Yeah.
So for some just on-demand training, so there's a link for everybody right there.
And then Christine, don't we need to sign the BBA as the buyer agent? I see it doesn't auto-populate. It doesn't auto-populate because some brokerages allow their agents to sign that, like we allow you to do, and some brokerages don't allow their agents to do it. They want the broker to sign it. So like Kira had said in there, it's really simple for you just to add yourself, click on signature, bring it down, click the area where you need the signature to be put in, and then send it off, and then you can sign it. It's that easy. So, all right. Well, if we don't have any other questions,
What have I got? What have I got?
what's going on in the title world?
What's going on in the title world? Lots of stuff's going on in the title world. We're just keeping us updated along with you guys as we can, so that this all comes together really easily. When you send in your contracts, we're gonna need those agreements, your buyer broker agreement, anything that has to do with your compensation.
Mhm.
I've got some dates for everybody. Tomorrow, Byron is doing a Canva class. I think it's full, Byron, am I correct?
Close.
The Canva class is from 1 to 3 here in the classroom, and it's pretty close to full. So if anybody wants to sign up for that, there's still a few spots left. Immediately after the Canva class, we're gonna do a little cocktail mingle over at Monty's Pizzeria, which is just kitty corner from the office at 2170 Nursery Road. That's gonna be from 3 to 5. Next Wednesday, we'll be back here
Yep.
with our next broker update at 10 a.m. And same day at noon, we have a realtor safety class that will give you 2 CE credits. It is a lunch and learn, and remember, September is Realtor Safety Month.
Oh.
And how about that?
I
Did
did-
you know that?
I did not know
Well,
that.
see, look at that. And then our next meeting at Pro, as I mentioned earlier, is September 10th. That is at 10 a.m. You'll need to sign up for that. As we said, we'll probably go into the contract.
Yes.
And any other changes that come up between now and then, but each week on these broker updates, myself, Mike, Amir, we have some guests coming here and there. We'll give you as much information as we can.
Absolutely. We did get a couple more questions in the chat box, so I'm gonna, these files still need to be uploaded to Rutenberg Files, or does this cancel out Rutenberg for now? No, it doesn't cancel out Rutenberg. You still need to upload them to Rutenberg. The purpose of Skyslope, at this moment in time, which is going to be very beneficial to you, is that obviously since the 17th of August, you need to have a buyer brokerage agreement prior to showing a property. And so there's no place in Rutenberg files for you to upload that because you don't have a contract, but we do need a copy of it. So this is where Skyslope becomes that streamlined process for you to go ahead and create the buyer brokerage agreement, have that holding tank there. And like I said, I've encouraged everybody to just continue on using that for your documents and files and things along those lines, because it's just an easy way to go through it.
And then once they get that contract, then they're gonna upload the
Then they're gonna-
contract and their
Yep.
maybe up to Rutenberg
To
files.
Rutenberg, exactly. Yep, you got it. From Chris, so for more clarity, once a BBA is executed in Skyslope, is that document then automatically shared with CRR in some fashion? Or do we need to execute the process of creating a transaction, assign the document as part of the checklist? So once when you have the BBA executed in Skyslope, it's gonna stay there. And it's completely fine to stay there until you have a contract. Because at the brokerage level, we can go into Skyslope and pull out the BBA if we needed to provide it to Stellar on your behalf or anything along those lines. So right now, for your BBAs, and we need to get contact, or we need to get them, just go ahead and put them into Skyslope. Mason, if we have a BBA signed by the buyer, when are we supposed to share it with the office files? If you do it through Skyslope, we're gonna have it immediately, which is great. If you do it another way, you need to upload it into Skyslope, or have it available. We should have a copy of it here within 48 hours. All right, I think that's it.
I'm gonna do a quick
Yeah, go
clarification
for
if you don't mind. Yes, I mentioned the Canva class was yesterday. If you're not going to the,
Tomorrow.
not tomorrow, yesterday, what? I'm not even, the Canva class is tomorrow. The cocktail mingle. If you're not going to the Canva class, we still want you to come and have a little cocktail with us from 3 to 5 over at Monty's. You don't have to go to the Canva class to come to the cocktail mingle.
Great pizza, great
Yeah.
food, good drink.
Great company.
Yep, be a good time. So definitely come on over. All right, everybody. Well, we will see you next week. If you need anything in between, feel free to give us a shout.
Yeah.
All right. take
Thanks,
care.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.